Well, in today's day and age of hot takes and debates, we have been overtaken and inundated with an obsession of ranks, listicles, and where someone's place is in relation to others. Perhaps one of the most forgotten, disrespected, and underrated players I have personally come across in all of my studies would have to be the Admiral David Robinson. And for starters, he is called the Admiral because of his time spent serving in the actual United States Navy, though his height would prevent him from serving on an actual ship. Robinson, after all, was a bit of a late bloomer, as he was only 5'9" through his junior year in high school before experiencing a massive growth spurt in his senior year and shooting all the way up to 6'6". Robinson would then require a special waiver from the Naval Academy superintendent at the time, since he had grown to 6'7" by the start of his freshman year and surpassed the 6'6" limit for all midshipmen. But I mean, how much more can a human being feasibly grow in their late teens? Well, how about 6 more inches over the next year to the height of 7'1" by the start of his sophomore season? So a guy who was 5'9" a few years earlier and didn't even play organized basketball until his senior year in high school and had absolutely no expectations of ever playing in the NBA, became a consensus All-American for his final 2 seasons at Navy, while winning the nation's 2 top honors, the Naismith and Wooden Awards. Upon his graduation, with a degree in mathematics, mind you, David Robinson was eligible for the 1987 NBA draft, in which he was selected number 1 overall by the San Antonio Spurs.
The San Antonio Spurs select David Robinson from Navy,
who then had to wait 2 more years for him to fulfill his active duty obligations with the Navy, something Robinson did as a civil engineering officer at the Naval Submarine Base in Kings Bay, Georgia. So David Robinson wouldn't even get to play in his first NBA game until he was 24 years old. But the Admiral would hit the ground running and become a dominant force within the league in that first season, 1989 to 1990, where he won Rookie of the Year, made All-NBA third-team honors, was selected second-team All-NBA defense, and finished 6th in MVP voting while averaging 24 points and 12 rebounds per game in all 82 games. By just his 3rd season in the NBA, he was first-team All-NBA, first-team defense, 3rd in league-wide MVP voting, and 1 Defensive Player of the Year. In his 7 real peak seasons, from the age of 24 to 30, you would be hard-pressed to find someone definitively with a higher peak as a full-court big. For starters, he appeared in 557 of a possible 574 games over that span of time, and oh, by the way, 14 of those 17 missed games during that 7-year span came in one season. And during those 7 years, Robinson averaged 26 points per game, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 3.6 blocks, and 1.7 steals. He finished no worse than 6th in any of those years in MVP voting, and was top 3 in 5 of those seasons, including the 1994-95 season where he won the league MVP honors. He also had 6 consecutive top 4 Defensive Player of the Year finishes over that span, and he famously also led the league in scoring during the 1993-94 season when he outdueled Shaquille O'Neal for that distinction on the last day of the regular season by dropping 71 points. There is only one other player in league history to win an MVP, a Defensive Player of the Year, and lead the league in scoring. The other is, well, you know who. And that is how good this peak was by David Robinson. Alas, Robinson, like other elite bigs we have seen throughout the league history, just didn't have enough help in his already condensed prime window to viably compete for championships. During the first 7 years of Robinson's career, again aged 24 through 30, he played with just one other All-Star, and that would be just 2 times. Both times was Sean Elliott, and those were Elliott's only 2 All-Star selections for his entire 12-year career, a career spent as a 14-point, 4-rebound, and 2-assist career player. That was the best player prime David Robinson had to play with. Then, unfortunately, injuries settled in, as in the 1996-97 season, Robinson would miss the first 18 games with a back injury, only to return for 6 games total before breaking his foot, an injury ultimately that required surgery and for him to miss the remainder of that season, his aged 31 year. So a guy who didn't even get to play his first NBA season until he was 24 years old, robbed of a full year in his prime due to injuries. But now, of course, due to that injury, we gotta look at just how damn valuable Robinson was. In just the year before, the 95-96 season, David Robinson finished second in league MVP voting behind only Michael Jordan, who led the Bulls to 72 wins that season. The Admiral, though, captained his Spurs to 59 wins, which was the second most in the Western Conference that season. The following year, though, when Robinson played in just those 6 games due to injury, essentially the Spurs would bring back the same roster with the exception of adding Dominique Wilkins. Yeah, that team, though, won only 20 games, which was second worst in the Western Conference. But that is just how damn putrid that supporting cast was around Robinson at the time, and that is just how damn great he was. Of course, the Spurs winning only 20 games also enabled them to win the draft lottery that year, which yielded them another pretty decent prospect of a big man, Tim Duncan. By Duncan's second year in the league, the Spurs would be NBA champions, but Robinson, who was 33 years of age at that point, was overshadowed by the younger ascending Duncan. Then, of course, arguably the 2 best players on the planet at the time found their way to the same team, and so the Los Angeles Lakers won 3 consecutive titles at the tail end of Robinson's career, who did manage to squeeze 1 more championship in his final NBA season at the age of 37 in 2003, though Robinson at that point was nothing more than a role player. So while David Robinson is typically always undervalued on the kinds of lists we see, like the one Bleacher Report just put out, which ranks him at 19th all-time, that is largely because, like other all-time great bigs, i.e. Hakeem Olajuwon and most recently Nikola Jokic, the Admiral just didn't have an adequate supporting cast in his prime to compete for a multitude of championships. But in his prime, again, you would be hard-pressed to find a better full-court big ever. He is still 6th all-time in NBA history in career box plus minus, 6th all-time in player efficiency rating, 3rd in win shares per 48 minutes, behind only Nikola Jokic and Michael Jordan, and he still stands 4th all-time in net defensive rating. There is an alternate world where situations and timing around him were different, and in that world, David Robinson is an undeniable Mount Rushmore player. And to learn more on another criminally undervalued all-time big, the aforementioned Hakeem Olajuwon, who was screwed over by his organization for years, you can check this video out right now. And as always, guys, please click that subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay up to date with more from me. Until next time.